Hi you guys, this is a series that I just came up with um, that's called Belle After Dark. And so basically what's going to happen here in these videos, I am going to be displaying how my mind works and the things that I think about on a day-to-day basis. And it's pertaining to like quantum physics, science, God, the universe, how things work, love, emotions, everything. So I wanted to create these videos because I have a lot to say, and I feel like some of this information that I have will be useful to someone someday. So, okay, this video is about shifting timelines and dimension and jumping from different, I'm going to say jumping timelines and shifting different dimensions and how to know you've done so. Now, I am on my way to work and I'm downtown in the city, so there is no telling what you might see or hear in this video as well. And I thought that this would be an interesting scenery for you guys because it probably will keep your attention longer than 2 to 3 minutes because you can look around me and see, my surroundings, things moving all the time. Okay, so we're going to start off with a quote from the Bible. Okay, so we're going to start off with a quote from a Bible that says that do not put new wine in old vessels because the wine will spoil. Now, of course, with God, everything has multi-dimensional meanings. Everything means more than what it seems. So you can break down scripture to mean multiple things at one time because the possibilities that exist in this world are endless because the creator who created everything is endless. So every possibility exists at one time, literally. And we are able to shift different timelines immediately. Now, this may all sound far-fetched, but if you clicked on this video, then you're probably interested in things like this because I am. So I'm attracting who likes this video, likes this type of stuff. Okay, so basically what I'm trying to say is we know that there is power of life and death in the tongue. This is what's in the scriptures. But if you live life on the daily, you could see this in your day-to-day life. Because if you have reached a point in life where you believe that you create your own reality, you know that the words that you speak out of your mouth are very, very powerful. So, they are very powerful. I believe that God created the world with sound. Okay? So that's a whole nother topic. But just keep that in mind, with sound. So if God created the world with sound, then what comes out our mouth is very, very important in all aspects of our lives. So whatever you believe, whatever you speak, and you believe wholeheartedly, it can and will manifest in a realm that where it exists. Okay? So sound. What does sound do? When you see a drawing of sound, excuse me, the train is going by. When you see a drawing of sound, what do you see? You see like circles echoing out. And so recently I discovered this guy, and he allegedly is supposed to be like the smartest man in the world. He just became the smartest man in the world, which, what is intelligence? What is being smart defined by? A test, which is basically a simple puzzle. No, his intelligence is not defined by that. So he created a formula for everything, which Albert Einstein and all of those people were trying to figure out, and nobody could figure it out, but he figured out that the formula for everything, not an equation, because an equation means that the thing on the left is equal to the thing on the right, and that is not true in every situation. Yeah, I agree with him in every situation, because I know that God is infinite, that there is no ending to God. There is no beginning. God just is. The source of creation just is, right? Okay, so the possibilities of what can be created are endless, because they start with your thoughts. In order for God to create with sound, he had to produce an action that would lead to him or it being able to speak or project words in a way that will start to vibrate at a particular frequency to form what his intentions were. You understand what I'm saying? For example, when he spoke, "Let there be light," poof, an explosion happened and there was light. Or however it was, but there was light in that moment when he said, "Let there be light," because he knew, he had a sense of knowing that when he spoke those words, that it would happen immediately. I'm just gonna sit right here for a second because there's a lot of stuff going on. But he knew that when he spoke those words or made that sound, which was going to vibrate into those particles to start creating solid objects that manifest in a realm, in a dimension, in time. You understand? That it was going to happen. Okay? And so we have that same power, right? And we have that same power because he has gifted us with free will. Alright? And free will is the power to choose everything in your life. How do you speak? How do you talk? How do you walk? You don't have to do anything that you do not want to do in this reality, in this realm, because of the power of free will, which is amazing, and is a blessing to have that. You know, because there's probably beings in different dimensions that don't have free will. And me, I'm a multi-dimensional person. So I go beyond what we can see in this 3D physical realm, in this particular dimension, this realm of Earth. I know that other dimensions and other realms and other beings exist in different dimensions. Say for instance, when you look at a microorganism under a microscope, that is actually a different dimension that you're seeing that organism in. So through the power of technological advancements in our reality, we are capable, I don't know, people want to act up today, but we are capable of seeing into another dimension that we would not be able to see with our physical 3D eyes. Alright? So with all of this, how do we jump timelines? How do we jump timelines daily? Alright, you jump timelines daily. Oh, first let me tell you the formula. So the formula to everything in the universe is triangle, infinity symbol, and circle. Now you have to look this guy up in order for him to get credit for this, because when I started to listen to how he came up with this, it blew my mind, and then pieces and everything started to put together and connect and add up, and I just started quantum leaping and jumping into different in and out of different dimensions and different realms of existence, and I was like, oh my God, this is right, this is correct what he was saying. I don't know his first name, but his last name is NGU, and it's pronounced goo. So you can look it up for yourself, and it's basically the formula for everything, which is triangle, infinity symbol, and circle, which I knew this. Like, I posted a video about how God is infinite, so I know for a fact that the infinity sign has something to do with this. It's amazing. But back to the main topic. Okay, so we have free will, so therefore we can speak what we want to speak, and say what we want to say. So the thoughts that we have in our mind manifest into the physical reality by sound. And you have to have a sense of knowing that what you're speaking out of your mouth is true, and that is how it becomes a thing in your dimension, or in another dimension. This is why we should all be careful of the words that come out of our mouth, because you literally can create things just because you don't see them. And this physical dimension, and this dimension that you live in, or the dimension that you live in, because I don't know if we're all in the same dimension, because some of us not, it doesn't mean that it does not exist in a different dimension, which it does exist in a different dimension. So the words that you speak are very, very powerful, because they are a vehicle to get particles that vibrate on the same frequency to their destination, to create a form that is supposed to, it's okay. So the equation makes sense because you have the triangle and the infinity symbol and then the circle. So the triangle is the beginning, right? He has to explain it. But I'm more so talking about the infinity symbol and the circle. The infinity symbol represents the start of, like, the infinite cycles, the infinite possibilities, the infinite timelines, the infinite things that can be created, the infinite beings that exist, the infinite possibilities of everything, of every outcome, of every situation, in every moment in time, right? And then you have the circle. With infinity, things are swirling around in infinity. Things are swirling around inside of infinity, right? So if things are swirling around inside of infinity, so here comes someone says, so here come God. God says, let there be a tree. Now, the particles from that were swirling around inside of infinity start to vibrate at the same frequency, and they start to take shape and form in the form of what a tree is. They start to vibrate at the same frequency, and all those particles attract each other to create that thing, to create that tree, because they are all on the same frequency and vibration. You understand what I'm saying? Okay, so you can do this. You do this every single day. When you find yourself stuck in a cycle, you keep going through the same thing over and over again. Like, you keep being presented with the same problems each day. It's the way you think. You know why? Because you are creating that reality, because you keep on thinking the same exact way every day that you get up. Every time something bad happens, what do? You probably say the same thing, no matter what scenario it is. So, say for instance, like, oh, you stub your toe. I'm gonna do it on a small scale, but this pertains to a larger scale as well. So just take this scenario: you stub your toe, right? You stub your toe, and this happens to you often, and you're like, why does this always happen to me? It always happens to you because you think it always does. All you have to do is shift your thought process, and you will shift timelines. You will go to a timeline, you will go to a dimension, a realm where that does not happen to you, where that does not exist. Okay? Because you were once in that timeline where that thing, that situation, that scenario existed. But because you made a change in that dimension, that realm, You no longer are there anymore because you immediately shifted into a timeline where you believe, where you not belief, where you have a sense of knowing that that does not happen to you, that everything always works out for you, that everything is always working out into your favor. You see what I'm saying? And how do you know? How do you know that the shift has worked? You literally look different, okay? And so people shift back and forth between timelines and dimensions. Jump dimensions is, well, if you don't know if you jump a dimension, because 9 times out of 10 you're probably going to stay in that dimension. But when you switch back and forth into timelines, you physically look different. Like, you physically change, and you might go back and look at your pictures, right? And analyze what was your mindset at that moment in time when you were taking those pictures. Sometimes, well, women, we have hormonal fluctuations that make us look different too, but that also ties into it, because you're going into a different season in your life where you're no longer the same person you were when you a few days ago, because you have shifted over to a different timeline automatically, though. Automatically. You understand? You didn't need to think differently or whatever. This was the automatic thing that where you shifted. This is why during ovulation and the different cycles, the phases of the menstruation cycle, a woman changes physically. Her emotions change, everything, her moods, all of it. But it's automatic. You understand? God gave us little keys and little clues of how everything that was ever created works from one thing or another. So you might get information about how the universe works from this blade of grass. How does grass grow? From a seed, right? What that seed does, it multiplies and multiplies and multiplies. The particles in it multiply and multiply and multiply until it forms the shape that it is intended to form, which then is no longer infinite. It becomes finite. Finite. You know what I'm trying to say. It becomes finite because it has a destination, because it found what it was supposed to find. It found all the other particles that look like it. So when you shift timelines, you physically change. You might look skinny. You might look more bloated or whatever. It all depends on what timeline and what dimension you have jumped into. Say, for instance, you want to be ugly. Not ugly. You want to be ugly, but you have crooked teeth, okay? You don't like the way your smile looks. And so instead of saying, oh my God, I'm so ugly, I don't like how my smile looks, you say, I am so beautiful, and I live in a dimension where my teeth are beautiful. Let me tell you something. And you have a sense of knowing that this is the truth. Your reality will change immediately if you believe wholeheartedly. This is why in the Bible it says have faith the size of a mustard seed, because that's literally all you need. It's literally all you need is a little bit, a sense of knowing. That faith needs to turn into a sense of knowing for things to happen immediately. Now, eventually, over time, you have faith, it will manifest into that reality. You will get to that destination because all of the particles will be vibrating at the same frequency. I hope everybody is catching what I'm throwing out. Okay, so, the teeth, about the teeth thing. Okay, so you said that, my teeth are so beautiful. You started speaking life into yourself. You started saying positive things about yourself. You no longer think you're ugly. You no longer think your teeth ugly. What happens is everything around you starts to shift. It starts to create an environment where that particular scenario is the truth. No matter what. And let me tell you something, the truth can come in many forms. You cannot expect for the truth to come the way exactly like you want it to, because a timeline where you have beautiful teeth can consist of you going to the doctor and getting your teeth fixed. Not just you look in the mirror and, oh, the crookedness is gone out of your smile. Because of different, there are barriers up. And those barriers are up for a reason. Okay? You know what I'm saying? Because if if you can have whatever you wanted just like that, do you know how many people will use that for sinister reasons, for evil wickedness, to cause so much harm and pain? Which there is an evil one who does that, who can do that. Well, can get you to cause the hurt and the pain and stuff to yourself, because they have no authority. God is in control of all things. And I'm talking about Satan, the devil. You understand? But anyways, yeah, so you physically change when you shift timelines and dimensions, and you literally do this on a daily basis. So the moral of this story is stay positive. Have a positive self-concept about yourself, no matter what. People can think whatever they want to think about you. It does not matter what people think about you. It matters what you think about you, who you know you are. You understand? Because you are created by source, an infinite source, so you can be anything in this world that you want to be, and you can do anything in this world that you want to do, and nobody or nothing can stop you except for you. So if it don't align, don't waste your time. And thank you for watching this video. This was my first time shooting a video like this after dark. I like these type of videos because I like to talk, and I like to display my knowledge. So I hope this helps somebody. And let's talk about it in the comment section. I love meaningful conversations. I love anything that has to do with meaningful conversations. I do not like small talk. So that's one of the reasons why I don't have many friends, because I don't like to chit chat about meaningless things. We could be creating realities. We could be putting our minds together. Two is always better than one. So if you have somebody that is thinking on the same vibrational frequency as you, the possibilities of what you guys can create together is literally endless. They are infinite. Do you understand? They are infinite. And we are so distracted by everything else except for what we are supposed to be doing here. Because the evil one doesn't want anybody to know this information, two people to know this type of information. But now is a time where apparently God wants all of this stuff to get out. And if he wants certain people who would normally have access to this type of information to receive it for some reason. Because with God and his kingdom, one thing leads to the next. One person can have a message that the next person might need to receive, that will trigger something inside of them. It forms a chain reaction, and it keeps going and going and going and going and going and going. Okay? So I love you all. Thank you for watching this video. Please like, comment, and subscribe. I'll see you in the next one. Later.